Hello, and this is Skoggle, and we're doing another of our FOE Training Grounds bottom lane series, and this time we're giving some love out to the supports. This is Blitz. Blitz has awesome ability to grab people, to knock them up, to not let them get away. As you see here, they take red, and immediately Blitzcrank gets that grab because Ezrael doesn't want to back off. He sees him. He doesn't understand Corky's around the corner because of vision, and he's going to try to cut him off. And by doing so, he sets himself up in a really bad situation. The grab hits, and Corky's able to go to town. First blood to your carry as a support is always a wonderful feeling. You did a great job. He flashes just to get that hit, to get it low. And there goes Corky getting quite a bit of gold. I think that was first blood, and 400, yes it is. So Corky's now out in the lane, and he doesn't even have a counterpart in the lane. These wards by Blitzcrank are awesome. They cannot loop around through the jungle. They can't get through the tri-bush. They can only come through the lane because you've blocked the river out pretty far as long as you're paying attention. The farther out you get that ward, I mean, you can't pass that ramp that goes up to blue buff, but the better because then you have time to react. If you just put in that brush right there, a lot of time they could just jump on you. And this is awesome. Here it goes again. Blitzcrank grab, Blitzcrank knock up, and Corky picks up another kill. This is just when your support game just goes so beautiful that nothing seems like it can go wrong. Here you go, level 2 and level 2 versus level 1 and level 1. And Ezrael's flash is already down. And so is Corky's ignite, but he has the knock up this time because he's level 2. A little bit less gold for the second kill, but still very good. So Corky's able to get farm. They haven't even let Ezrael get a single farm yet. 2 kills, level 1, 0 creeps. Corky is quite a bit ahead. And here they're still fairly full. I just think they don't want to be pushed, and they kind of waste time before they go back. And that's one thing I don't like about that. If you're going to go back, just go back. I think he went back because he had the money for the Philostone, but you could have continued to keep Ezrael super low and denied. Instead, Ezrael's able to get some experience, some creeps. It doesn't take that long to get to level 3, and this is a pretty big way of pushing back against you. Had they hurried, they might have been able to catch it sooner and not let it get so big. It's not a big deal. It's just kind of one of those things. You can capitalize a little better by doing what we saw in one of my other videos with the Draven, who just immediately goes back and he's able to get out to the lane, losing about nothing. And this just a little bit different scenario. Not a big deal. They're able to get out to the tower. They're going to hit level 4 first because they had such a lead. And goes out there, and Jarvan's ganking, and they just don't quite pull anything else off, but they're able to get the ward back out. So as Blitz, your job is to zone and harass, and if they don't give you the respect you deserve, to grab them and get the kills. Exhaust is a very good spell on Blitz. I probably think it's about the best spell you could get on Blitz. Just a grab and an exhaust, and you're just simply not going anywhere. Now just to make this funner, there goes Blitz again. Gets his flash to go, his exhaust to go, and gets another kill. They didn't follow up quite quick enough because I don't think they realized Jarvan was going to dive that. But here you go. Just because the lane gets pushed back while they based, it just really puts Ezrael out of position, and Ezrael has no choice here but to eat another ignite, and that's basically as soon as it ignites up, Corky just gets to keep using it. So the 3-0 Corky, just way ahead right now. Can't follow up and get that second kill, but it's not the biggest deal. Here comes Udyr, and I really like what happens here. Udyr's going to go for Corky and try to get this shutdown, but there goes a pro Blitz grab. I just really appreciated that grab, and there goes Jarvan shooting through the wall to make sure Blitz isn't in trouble. They can't kill Udyr, but it's still really cool that he gets that off. Just the level of protection he gives to his carry right there. And here they're low life, they need a backup. So Blitz waits out his goal, he wants his mana back. And he turbocharges out to lane, mostly because I don't like to wait for that. And he gets the pink ward out, looks around, makes sure there's no ward he can kill. There isn't. And don't be this guy. I understand he is a big part of why Corky's fed. Corky's ahead. Well, now Corky's 2v1 in a lane. He's gets the lead, and he just sits there. He's still there. And this is sped up, so just watch the time that's elapsed. I mean, we're looking just forever. I don't know what happened. Maybe real life issues. It happens, but yeah, you got your carry the lead, but right now Ezrael's able to farm. They can't deny Ezrael, and Ezrael's just getting some gold. He's still behind, but that's just catching up a little bit. Corky doesn't do the 2v1, which is a good idea. Tries to gank. Hard to gank when you're used to being the AD carry and just farming. Maybe if you play other roles, you get a little better at it. It just doesn't work out. I mean, that was a good couple minutes. I think that was close to 2.5, 3 minutes before Blitzcrank gets back. So now the lane's more or less even. It's not as big of a lead as it really should be. And because Corky felt like he had to roam and not just sit in lane, he didn't keep his level advantage going quite so hard. So not trying to take away from what Blitz did earlier, but just don't be that guy. Another great grab. The only problem is you get a built-in flash and a Janna ult, and you're really hard to kill. And so he's able to get back to his tower. They chase Janna, can't make anything happen. And I don't know if he's making up for his AFK, but he's going to go all in here. He's going for it, and sitting on a Philosopher's Stone and boots, you just simply can't just take so many shots from a tower. And that's going to give Ezrael another kill. So in a way, he helps get this huge lead. In a way, he's giving it back. And so, yes, he's able to... and he gets the kill. Corky doesn't, so that doesn't help. And now Ezrael gets a decent chunk of gold out of that kill, because that's the first kill. And Janna had done enough to get an assist. And here, Fizz barely gets away. That's kind of what Fizz does sometimes. And they're going to try to push out a little bit. Blitzcrank is going to be coming back, but because they killed the AD carry for the support, in a way his dive wasn't that bad. Because when the AD carry's dead and just the support, you have a significant advantage if you fight for Dragon. And they can't even really contest it, so free Dragon. So it's kind of coming back. The big thing here is that Corky lost some experience, and he is not as far ahead in farm as he really could have been. But anyways, you see the power of a Blitzcrank early game. Blitzcrank, even later game, you get that hook. And that hook can initiate fights. It can do the hook and farm, which we just saw there. But that hook's ability to grab someone out of position, pull them over a wall, separate them from their team, and let your team initiate a fight so that it's 5-on-4 because of one skill that you have. You also have a knock up after you land the hook to just make sure they're just not going anywhere. And at this point, Ezrael's caught up enough that it's not quite as dangerous to get hooked because he has such good escapes, and Janna is great at protecting. I mean, there, Janna just ults, and there's nothing he can really do. The threat's still there, though, and that helps keep the farm down on Ezrael. An unfortunate fight for his team goes up in that top river, and they lose 2 champions to 0. Meaning you got to be a little bit careful about staying on that tower because they can come gank. Your team doesn't really have a response. No one can really help you, but they do have help. Just something to think about before you get super aggressive, and he just misses a hook. Don't know if it would have done much more than harass. But it's kind of nice to be that beefy support. Get some armor runs, whatever. I mean, they poke him back for going under the tower. No real punishment. He's going to be fine. And one thing Blitz does really nicely through the end of this game that I like is he's going to grab wards and keep warding even when there's an oracles and it's going around. Unfortunately, you almost have to ward bait and try to kill the oracles when it's on someone squishy like Janna. But he doesn't. You'll just watch him. He's not going to stop warding just because she's killing him. He just keeps getting them, keeps placing them. Keep your team safe. Really, you're good for your team as long as you have your hook. Your grab is about all you really need to bring to the table to be good and help your team. So ward, grab. It's always sad to see that happen, but no wards and you just placed them. But just keep at it, keep warding. Make sure those key points are still warded. If you can find an alternate point to put it that she's not checking every minute or so, it might be better. And he's going to go for that grab on her. I mean, he really doesn't like that oracles, but they kind of pay for it. Janna ults Corki back and just doesn't pay enough attention about his positioning against the Janna. They don't pick up Janna, and Corki dies to the tower, giving Ezrael another kill. Blitz does a great thing there. He runs away from them into the team. He could have gone so many directions, but he sees help coming, and he tries to bait them to the help. So unfortunately, they get that grab on Janna, and it just didn't go well. It was the right call. That I would probably say they should do it again. Just when you go against Janna, just be aware she can knock you into a tower. So just be ready for that. Get into a position where her knockback won't do that. Just a knowledge of your lane, knowledge of champions, what they do. Even if you don't play support, if you play AD carry, you play against support. So just try to familiarize yourself with, okay, they have Janna, they have Ezreal. What do they have? They have Arcane Shift, he can jump around. They have Janna's knock-up, they have a slow with Janna, they have Janna's ult, which really can disengage almost anything. Janna's just really hard to kill. So looking at the CS, Ezreal's up to 115 with 2 kills and 4 deaths. He's got the BF sword, the double Dorans, the Berserkers, and Corki has Berserkers, Vamp Scepter, double Dorans, and BF sword, and he's 3-1 with 119. So unfortunately, as awesome as this lane started, my theory is it's that AFK, but it just ends a little bit more even right now. I mean, it's 20 minutes into the game, the laning phase is virtually over, and they're able to come back, and at this point, Corki's not significantly ahead of Ezreal, and when it gets into the mid-game and team fighting, it's going to be whoever positions and plays better, when they could have had a significant advantage there. Just barely misses that grab. That could have been a dead Ezreal. Just something to note. Just so close, and Blitz can be that way, or you can land them and they can just be awesome. And here we're going to see the end of the laning phase. They're going to go for the tower, and they're going to go for Ezreal, and they're going to get Ezreal. But Blitzcrank also goes down, so that's how it's going to end. An aggressive finish, and trading support for an AD carry is not the worst thing. So I would say that that definitely comes in advantage of the purple team, and that was a pretty decent finish. And thanks for watching this rendition and this video. That was the Blitzcrank grab, and we will see you later. Alright, let's do this review for this game we just saw. We'll start off with point number 1, and that was strong level 1 fight. Champions that do this, in this game it was Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank's grab will put someone extremely out of position. Every level 1 champion is squishy, especially when pulled out and put near teammates. So that is what made their level 1 fight so strong, and why they were invaded and took the red. So when you have the advantage, there's champions that do this. It's hard CC, it's champions like Alistar, he is really good level 1 CC that can hit lots of people. Viager also has that big stun thing. He'll lose a lot of his other damage, but your teammates can follow up really well. It's when you have those level 1 stuns, and you can just lock someone down and burst them down, because as soon as you burst someone down, they only have one skill. They're not going to be able to do much if you get it to a 5-on-4 situation. Or even better, if they only have 3 people protecting, and all of a sudden it's 5-on-2, they have to run. So that's what makes a strong level 1 fight. and that is what I was referring to here. In this case, Blitzcrank gets that grab and just slows Ezrael's escape just a little bit, and it was enough for Corky to do a ton of damage and get that kill. Blitzcrank did his share of that damage too, but that's what happens in this game. Number 2, good warding. Good warding is basically when you can block the paths that the jungler will take, or the mid lane if you're bottom lane. For this game, we're bottom lane, so I'll talk in that sense. But when you can block the path the jungler or mid or whoever that's trying to gank you can come through besides coming through lane, then that is when you are warding good. There are lots of examples. You can do the tri-brush and buy the dragon. That's going to give you more time. If you do that the brush that's right by the lane, the only problem I see to this is that if you do see them there, you really have a couple seconds to respond. You better respond very quick when he gets there and get out really quick because you don't have much time. If you put it by dragon, you have 7 seconds or 6 seconds to respond. If you put it in that other brush, you really have about 2 to 3 seconds to respond, if even that. Like a Jax or something, he'll be able to leap on you, he'll be able to throw a stun out. So just think about what they can do from the position they're in. It's just how you play, and the farther out the wards can get while still protecting you from all routes, that if you're paying attention, you'll see them coming, and as a support, watch the wards after you place them. Don't ward out by dragon if your map awareness is not good enough to see them. If you need it in that brush, otherwise you wouldn't see them at all, then you need it in that brush. But if you have the map awareness, put it out a little bit. That's a better way to do it. 3, aggressive kill lanes. The aggressive kill lanes are, for instance, an Alistar lane. He's got so much CC, he can tank, he can get in there and do some damage and really help your team out. So you also have Leona. In this case, it's Blitzcrank, and Blitzcrank is a great kill lane example. Blitzcrank has a knock-up, he has his ultimate, which has a silence, and he has that hook. That's 3 very good forms of CC. 2 of them are the knock-up and the hook. It doesn't even matter what they have to reduce the CC reduction, like tenacity, doesn't help them. So it doesn't really matter what they have. They can't really get out of that. You can't cleanse a hook. You can't cleanse a knockup. And so that's why Blitzcrank makes a really good aggressive kill lane. When your support is Leona or Taric or Blitzcrank or Alistar, you need to be aggressive. Armor pen instead of attack damage runes might be an option if you've built both and you don't know when to use which. Look at who your support is. Is your support Soraka? Is your support Janna? You might want to go with your AD and farm it up. Is your support Blitzcrank or Leona or Nautilus? Then I would probably go with the armor pen and be killing them and work on zoning and doing tons of damage. So the aggressive kill lanes don't necessarily always, sometimes they're just aggressive zone lanes. You're trying to deny them as much as get your own. So those are the supports that work really well with that. Almost any AD carry can work with that. I would say some are better than other. Graves Burst, for instance, is just exceptional. The ability of Urgot to lock on and just do tons of damage is also exceptional. But Corky isn't short of burst. He can burst someone. If Blitz lands a grab, Corky can get in there and do a ton of damage. And so that's why I mean almost any AD carry can work with that. Some just are a little bit better. 4, back quickly. In this case, it's when you get the kill and push them to the tower. They couldn't back as soon as they got the kill because it wasn't pushed to the tower. So if you're going to do that, and your plan is to, if you get a kill, push to the tower so that they lose CS to the tower, and then go back and buy, you need to do it as fast as you can. Your job as a support is not to steal the farm from your AD carry, but take the full minions, walk up and hit them once, or twice if it takes that. Or if there's a tank minion, get it down to half or whatever. But do things to help your AD carry. Once it starts getting lower, he needs to time it, so back off them. But go ahead and to push the lane, it doesn't mean to steal his farm. It means take the full mobs and hit them. Don't take their farm. That's very bad play by a support. Denying your AD carry and then pushing to the lane, hoping to deny them to the tower, does not help your cause. To help your cause, go ahead and hit the full ones to get the lane pushed out when you need to. And then get back quickly. In this case, they just kind of hover after they get the the wave to the tower, they hover, and I think they back when he can buy his Philosopher's Stone, not immediately. And even if you both back immediately and you have to stand on the base for a second, Corky could have got back out to lane and refroze it more on the mid lane instead of pushing back to your tower. You'd be there soon. They're already scared of you, so they could be afraid you're in the brush. You have that presence. Go ahead and just back quickly. Even just tell your support, hey, I have to, or your carry, I have to hang out here for about 10 seconds and I'll have my Philosopher's Stone. They'll basically understand that. Otherwise, you're just going to be backing as soon as you get back to lane anyways. But don't waste the time sitting out there if you were going to end up backing. 5. Zoning as a support. Zoning as support. What does that mean? It means when you start getting that presence, once they're deathly afraid that, oh my gosh, they land a hook, I'm dead, you could use that and chase them off. And Blitzcrank does a good job. He'll chase them off again, he'll take bush control, he'll zone them every chance he gets, and he keeps running at them. Just the threat, even when they ward that brush, he runs up, they back off. And that's a form of zoning. You're just keeping them constantly having to move out of a comfortable position. So when you're a support and you start getting kills and you're making them afraid of you, now take advantage of it. Don't waste your time and do nothing. That is how you take advantage once you're ahead. 6. Don't be that guy. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but there could be lots of that guys. That guy is when you feel like you did something and then you all of a sudden now you're like, take a break in the middle of the game. I'll put up 2 clips and circle the time and show the exact time. It's over 2 minutes. It's quite a bit of time. Ezrael catches up quite a bit. Corky could have just pressed that advantage. They could have kept him zoned, but they couldn't keep him zoned, and it really helps even out this lane. They still win the lane by the end of the laning phase, but it could have been a lot bigger of a snowball and maybe less kills to Ezrael, and definitely less farm to Ezrael, but he's that guy. That guy can also be the guy who you start having a good game and then you make fun of your teammates or mock them or insult them and start that problem, and you could take your good game and ruin it where you lose because your team no longer wants to support you. Be the good guy. Don't do that. And the thing is, when you match up 5 versus 5, you could be the best player on your team of the 5, and the 4 guys could be worse than you. But then the best player on their team is probably likely at about your skill level, but there's no guarantee that you match up against him. So if you're top and their like worst player goes top, you're probably going to wreck him. Now, their best player could have gone bottom, and your worst player could have gone bottom, because it takes a relative elo range, and they have a hidden elo and normals, and there's this relative range. And there's going to be the best and worst players on each team. So if you're the best on your team and you get their worst and you crush him and then you can't figure out why your teammate lost, well, it would be really wrong of Riot if the 5 best players go on one team and the 5 worst players go on the other team. And then you don't have to say that because you crushed them across the board. It's just straight snowball. That would also be a very poor way to play this game. There'd be no real challenge. It would actually ruin the game a lot more than this current I'm good but my teammates suck dilemma, because that's just a personal dilemma in your head. If you think about it, if you're good, you're going to get teammates worse than you on a lot of occasions, especially if you're still doing normals. And when their best player, who should be, if you were the best player in the entire match, the second and third best player should likely be on their team. So it's very possible that now you have the fifth best players in the match. And if you got your bottom rung matched up against their top rung, of course you lost those other lanes. Your job is to carry your lane and then see what you can do to help your teammates. Can you either help the jungler get control of both jungles? Can you start taking control of the buffs near you? Can you go start ganking the other lanes? Mid does that better than top, but top can gank mid. Top can come down for the dragon because he's winning so hard and get back up to his lane. There's things you can do to help your team, especially if they're not doing the best. Maybe say, hey, I'll help out. Don't feed. So that's kind of that guy. That didn't happen in this game. I just kind of went off on a tangent, but it's important to know these things. 7. Don't do the 2v1. If your guy decides to be that guy, your lane partner, your support, and he is out there and he is just camping the fountain like they're going to invade it and he's just going to guard it with his life apparently, don't run out there just because you're ahead and assume you can 2v1 them. You can kind of poke and maybe hope they're afraid of the brush and that Blitzcrank's hiding and trying to ambush them and keep farming from a distance, but don't engage. Don't do anything dumb. Think about it rationally. just because you are stronger 2v2 does not equal stronger 2v1. I see this happen, and just don't do it. When you're 2v1 instead of 2v2, it sucks, but take whatever farm you can get, do what you can do, tower hug if you have to, try to not push out the lane anymore, do something, but that's how it goes. Don't do it. 8, is diving worth it? I'm going to pull up where the gold is, and I can't remember. I think it's only 170 on Ezrael they get, and the support gets it in this case when they dove. And so that didn't go to the carry. The carry's half of that is like 85. It's nothing awesome. They gave up a kill and an assist the other way, and that kill was the first kill on Blitzcrank. So even though you're a support, you gave up 300. So you got 170 on the support and 85 on your carry, and they got 300 on their carry and 150 on their support. So other than the fact that they do go ahead and take Dragon because Fizz gets caught and is forced to back, otherwise they may not have, but they got sight of Udyr, and then Fizz gets knocked low, so he had a base. So they were able to pull Dragon off, and that is important and does help. So that kind of negates it, but you don't always pull Dragon for that. In actual terms of the trade for the dive was Ezrael got a great kill and a nice amount of gold for to start his comeback, and Corki really got nothing. So 300 to 85. That's a 225 difference. That's like, it's just not a good idea. And then the supports went 170 for the one who got the kill and 150 for the one who just got the assist. So it didn't help there either. Like, that's just 20 gold. It didn't do enough. And 225 to the carry is a big deal. So you have to ask yourself when diving is worth it. If you've killed him 3 times and you're on a killing streak, had Corki gone down instead, it would have been 400 something gold for Ezrael, and they wouldn't have been able to do Dragon. So just try to decide when it is and isn't worth it. When you've killed them and you're dominating the lane, sometimes diving's a really bad idea because a trade is not a trade. A trade gives them a comeback. And then the second time, Ezrael had gotten 3 straight kills, so they got a shutdown. He was worth 366. He had the bonus support, extra 40 gold or whatever, so he got 200 something, and Blitz hadn't gotten a kill, so he was only worth like 270 that time. So in the second case, it was worth it. Plus they get a tower out of it, and it was an 80 carry dead to a support dead. So the second time it was a good dive, but the first time it was not. And that's when you ask yourself, when is it worth it? And try to have a knowledge of the game and how that works. 9, 80 carry dead, do Dragon. For the most part, that can be a hard and fast rule, but it depends on other factors. Is there mid full and you're mid low? Is your mid dead? Is your jungler clear up at the top of the map? There are lots of things to think about here, but if the scenario is such, their 80 carries dead, your 80 carries up, your mids are at least even, and your jungler's on your side of the map, in position to do Dragon. Ping the crap out of Dragon, say, hey, let's go do Dragon. That is when you can help your whole team get Dragon. That is a good play. So that is why the 80 carry usually goes bottom instead of top, is Dragon control. Otherwise, you have your top laners, your bruisers on bottom, and Dragon control is is harder to control for your team. Even if they did that, I'd 2v1 it and keep your 80 carry bottom, because you'd get Dragon control, and that can be worth so much globally to give your team the win. So that is why 80 carry is important. When you kill them, get objectives. The big objective when they don't have an 80 carry to defend Dragon is Dragon. 10, keep warding. This is frustrating and it's hard to do, and it seems like the lower the elo, the harder it is to get people to keep doing this. But when they have an oracle and they're killing your wards, you have to keep warding. You can't just give them the free complete map control because you don't want to lose more wards. What you have to do maybe is ward bait, where you say, hey, let's kill Janna. She keeps killing this ward I put at Dragon. She's going to come back. Let's ambush her. You can do something like that and do a ward bait, but you can't not ward just because they have an oracles. And that's fairly simple. I'll keep it short. This is running too long, so I'm going to hurry. 11, running towards your team. Whenever you are retreating and you're stuck in their jungle or in your jungle or wherever you are on the map, look when you're retreating and see if there's any paths that could lead them to your team. A lot of people chase way too hard, get way too greedy, and you may lead them to their deaths and get away. If you just run back to your tower, they may not be dumb enough to tower dive, and you might just get away, but if you can lead them towards your team, you have a better chance of escape, and you have a lot better chance of your team picking up a kill in response. And that will be the end of this review. Thank you for listening. I wish you luck in all your matches. Take care.